Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyper Roll with Autarch, and I wanted to do a couple of videos on a build I use sometimes when the situation calls for it perfectly. Now, in this case, you'll see I kind of got forced into it. I didn't have a Diana yet, didn't want to do Enter the Dragons, didn't like any of that, so I decided to go with RNG and got the Wandering Trainer, which gave me a Faded emblem, which told me, you know what, grab those two Yasuos. I already have an Ari, so I'm set to go into Faded. And I'm going to say this multiple times throughout the video, tread carefully with Faded. It's a champ or chump build because I have had great starts with it, fall to 8th, and other times where they end up working out, but it really needs to fall into place. One of the reasons I went for it in this particular match is the portal was champion conference, which means it's going to give you champions that fit your team. So if you're focused on Faded, it's very likely to give you Faded champions. Now, of course, I've had this portal spit out champs that don't make any sense at all, but it's usually pretty good. Let's take a look at some items. Here, it's the bow because we want to make a Titan's Resolve for Yasuo. That's presuming we're confident we're going to get him to 3 stars, which is kind of key in this build. So once you're pretty sure you can get there, then go ahead, put the Titan's Resolve on Yasuo, and get ready to roll. Now, because the second emblem we got was Reaper, and there is a Reaper in Faded, we are going to head in that direction, although I'm not going to use Kha'Zix because we're only going to need 3 to get to the 4 Reapers, so we want to try to get to that 7 Faded 4 Reapers situation. It is time for the second set of augments, and they are prismatic. Nothing I exactly want here. I'm not a fan of trash to treasure, just more RNG in the world. Reaper Crown, we don't need. We already have one. Tiny but Deadly, Jeweled Lotus, both have good possibilities, because Tiny but Deadly, it doesn't really reduce their health, it just increases their speed, but Jeweled Lotus is definitely going to help with Reapers because although their abilities can crit, it doesn't make it automatic, and we are very lucky to just before the fight get our gold 3-star Yasuo. Yasuo is a really interesting unit in that he is meant to be a tank, but he's also a duelist, so he can do a lot of damage with the right items, but he won't get advantage of his skill set, which is to be tanky. And I've tried him in a few various builds with duelists and also in Faded, and I found if I try to go damage, he just ends up falling apart late game, where at least with tank items, he will hold up and still do some damage. It is time for an item choice, and we're going to go ahead and grab the Needlessly Large Rod. Then we get lucky and we're able to get our 2 additional Reapers that we need to finish this out ultimately. And I'm going to go ahead and put the Jeweled Gauntlet on Kindred, even though, yes, we have Jeweled Lotus, so the abilities can crit. Even being part of Reaper, the abilities can crit, but anytime you can increase the crit chance, it also increases the crit damage, and it doesn't hurt to do it. And since I had gotten an early Kabuko, I had been using him in the front line and collecting more along the way, hoping I could get to gold 3 stars because he's a good tank in pretty much any build you want. However, when it became clear I was not going to get to 3 stars, I sold one off, and we're going to be switching tanks over, likely to a Behemoth, because that will work with Thresh. It is time for the final set of augments, and nothing super exciting here, so we're going to go ahead and re-roll. Silver Veil is one of the better ones that you can get out of the silver, although 125 isn't bad because you could get really lucky, but Silver Veil is going to be more consistent since you know what it's going to do. We're going to take out Kabuko and then put in an additional Reaper since we have 2 Canes and a Bloodthirster, which is one of my favorite items for him because he will stay up longer. We also link Thresh with Yasuo. While you don't need it as much now as you do earlier, because once you get to 5 Faded, all of your Faded are getting the bonus, but linking them will give the ones you link an additional health bonus, and so I tend to want to link my 2 frontline tanks at that point. I see a lot of people still linking in the back line late into the game. I don't get it for that purpose. I see it as a frontline trait. We are down to our final individual item choice, and we brought Set into the game as well as Yone, so that triggers Umbral. We're going to go ahead and just tank Yasuo as much as possible, giving him the Dragon's Claw. This has now given us our 7 Faded and 4 Reapers. We're going to use our Umbral squares where possible just to get the health shield. Not much more than that, except Set can end up executing people if he slams them while their health is low enough, but that's not really a factor for us. We added the Rabadon's Death Cap onto Kindred just to get that little additional power. Time for another item choice, and if I had known I was going to be able to get a Dragon's Claw here, I would have taken the sword to get a Bloodthirster on Set, but you don't know what you don't know. And with the 7 Faded 4 Reaper, we are in really good shape, especially with that gold 3-star Yasuo, who is able to hold the front line. As you can see, Kindred is just able to do a ton of damage and is critting every single ult, so it's getting us well ahead. We had to clear off some space to get an item choice, and we were lucky to find our gold 3-star Kindred and then pick up a 2-star Ornn, who can go in the game a little bit later. Here, item choice, we're just going to go with a Kindred item. I would much rather a Rage Blade, but at least this will add some additional speed on top of the Faded bonus. And although it wouldn't have hurt us to have an 8th Faded in there, it's not one of those traits where it would do any harm, because it still would have given us the bonus on the champ, and we would have gotten Arcanist. I'd rather have a little more tankiness up front with Ornn, who can also hand out items here and there. And then pretty much anytime the game gives you a 2-star legendary, you take it, so we grab the Udyr as we head into the top 4. Item choice, I'm actually kind of torn. I know I want the Hand of Justice. I'm just not sure if I want to put it on Set or hold it for Udyr in the next round, because it's an excellent item for Udyr, and he's already at 2 stars, but I really want to just keep winning, so we go ahead and put it on Set. For at least one round, we have swapped Udyr for Ornn, because Udyr is just a stronger unit. It's a 2-star legendary, so I'm not going to argue with that. Would have kept it the same if it had been a 1-star Udyr. Ornn has advantages in being able to give items, but Udyr can just mess up an entire team, and you can see that interference, even though he died early, left us the time to win this round. It is time for the final item choices of the match, and since we now have a 2-star Set, we can just start stacking him up. So Hand of Justice can go on top of Hand of Justice, and then we can also grab the Death Blade. And I have no doubt you know this, but put Set between your 2 highest health champions. That's going to give him a little more power to start. File this particular round under the just when you thought you had it locked up. And I really thought I had this locked up pretty much through most of this, especially when Set slammed 2 people dead. But suddenly I noticed my team starting to disappear. They're closing in and able to take us out, which was a little bit concerning because that was the Ghost team. Now, the main change I made was to move Ornn over to the right side, and that was so that he could give some items to people, because where he was before, he was not handing off items well. Now, it still allowed Set to get into that left side, but it held up the right side just a little bit more. And given how badly we were beaten, I wasn't sure we had a chance at this point, but this allowed us enough time for Kindred to get ahead and finish the round leading the damage charts. We went ahead and moved the target dummy to the outside so it would pick up more aggro and give Ornn a little bit more time to maybe hand out items, but Ornn goes down really quick, but is able to hand off a Death Blade to Yone, which allows him to get in and do damage. But meanwhile, Udyr is cleaning house. He cleared out their entire backline, slammed down for the kill there, and ends up leading the damage charts, winning the game. GG for everyone. If you have a shot at Faded and it's a clear shot, give it a try. It can work, or it can get really ugly. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.